Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to each of you. I am so much excited and highly delighted to have a wonderful person with me, Joseph Pellicci. Joseph, how do you spell your, pronounce your surname? Pellicci, is it okay?
Pellicci.
Pellicci, okay. Joseph is the best. Fine, lovely. So nice of you, Joseph. Heartily, I welcome you. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. Well,
Thank you.
let me let me give a small introduction of this program. This program is divided into three parts. In the first part, we will have a small introduction. In the second part, we will have a question answer session. And in the third part, we will be concluding this session. Coming to the first session, as this is the GST program, this GST platform is meant to help anyone at any stage to showcase their expertise. By doing so, you are not helping yourself, but you are helping the universe, all the people in the world that are eager to listen to you. So today we have got one of the finest personality who is expert in his area, and he is with us. That is number one. Coming to the second part, here is a handsome man, Joseph. When I asked him how old his eldest son, and he said that he is elder to his age, I thought this is impossible. But wow, he has the way he has kept his youngness and the personality. Really, I feel envy. So nice of you for being with us. Here is a small introduction of the Joseph which he has given. Joseph is a highly respected transformational coach, speaker, and devoted father of four, residing in Stamford, Connecticut. He is renowned for his grounded wisdom, compassionate approach, which empowers individuals to undergo profound personal transformation. Yes, it looks from you, Joseph. You yourself have gone personal transformation. Lovely. Though his Elite Emergence Workshop and as a teaching assistant for the esteemed Man on Fire events, Joseph has made lasting impact on countless lives. Here is the quote that he likes. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause. So let me pause, stop speaking, and welcome this lovely personality, Joseph. So nice of you, Joseph, for being with us.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Please go on. Yes, the platform is yours.
Yes, I help men and women in unhealthy relationships gain clarity,
Mhm.
freedom, and safety so that they can create deep, connected, loving relationships for themselves. And sometimes people will think that that only has to do with intimate relationships, but that has to do with the relationship with yourself. Because until you start
Right.
to learn how to love yourself, nothing will change, and you will continue to attract what you are. What we put out into the universe, what we put out into the world is what we get back. So until we start to shift ourselves and learn how to love all those parts of ourselves, the mind, the body, the relationship, and the environment, all four dimensions of ourselves, we will not see change in our lives. We will continue to have
Lovely.
the same thing happening over and over.
Lovely. Yes. I can see that you are a live example, and what you teach, what you preach, you also practice. That is the most important thing.
Mm.
Yes. So I have got number of questions which are sent by our listeners. Let me not to waste time and jump to the questions. Here is the first question that Joseph, what's the one honest reflection you offer that finally make people realize how they have been neglecting or betraying themselves? Platform is yours, please.
Yes, what happens is most people I've witnessed is that they give love very easily to people, but they have a deep-seated intention that people are supposed to give it back to them exactly the way they're giving it. And that's the misconception, is they don't realize that they're meant to give it back to themselves. And until they can
Right.
figure that out, they will continue to give with the intention of receiving back, and they wind up having a lot of resentment and anger towards people, and ultimately depression.
You are very correct. Yes. The most simplest, easiest, cheapest, and easily available poison is when you are punishing yourself, self punishment. Yes. And people that don't realize that. And you are the one that who can definitely help those people. Yes, very nice. So please see that the next question is answered in a bit more detail. Here is the second question which I will be asking and request you to give a little more detail about it. And the question is the short. If self-love had to live in just one word, what would it be for you and why? What do you say?
It would be honoring yourself, um,
Hmm.
honoring all the parts of yourself. Uh, the thing is that we often only love certain parts of ourselves, and there's the parts that
Hmm.
we don't think are going to be acceptable for the world or for others. We want to get rid of them. We usually try to do our best not to show people that these things ever happened, or that we've ever done anything wrong. So we try to put on masks and put this false impression out into the world so people will accept us. And the two core fears that every human being has is the fear of being worthy and the fear of being lovable. And so what we
Right,
do constantly is we're continuously putting on these masks and playing these games in what we think people are going to accept so that we can fit into the crowd or fit into the group. Um, and until we start to learn how to take those masks off and start to live more authentically, we will continue to have problems in that area.
very correct. You said that the people for the self-love and self-worthy. Yes, perhaps that is the only asset that one can have, and people they lose it. They don't realize it. Very correct. So nice. Thank you. Here is my next question. That Joseph, which of the four pillars, mind, body, relationships, or environment, do people struggle to face the most, and why do you think that is? Please, Joseph.
The mind. The mind is the hardest thing that people have to face, is because when you're in your head, you're dead. And most people are thinking about things that they've done wrong or things that they don't feel that they're worthy enough of. So they'll put all their energy into going to the gym or eating right or wearing nice clothes. They'll constantly look at these things that they think are going to make them presentable, but it's not the root cause. The root cause is the emotions. It's what they're not willing to face within themselves. And when they start to face the emotions and honor them in a really pure and authentic way, they begin to have these things that like the food or exercise, and these things just start to come organically because you're going to the root cause. And the root cause isn't going to the gym. The root cause isn't being overweight. The root cause isn't not having good relationships. The root cause is the emotions that you're not willing to face and feel. And the definition of suffering, which is what most people what's going on with most people in this world today, the definition of suffering is the avoidance of suffering. So when people truly face and feel, which is something I help people do, it only lasts for seconds to minutes. And what most people are experiencing, though, is the refusal to face and feel. And so they continuously live in this place of overwhelm, depression, and anxiety.
Yes, you are very correct that people are the only, they are the people who punish themselves and tell that the world is different. But no. the solution is in their hand, but they don't realize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
100%.
So, so with relation to that, here is my next question. That Joseph, when someone says, "I love myself," but this is a very common question, and often I have heard from everyone in my circle that they start their conversation with this: "I love myself, but." What's
Mm-hmm.
your favorite question to ask that gently exposes the truth beneath that sentence? What is that?
Yes. So for myself, it would be to bring somebody to the realization of somebody you
Mhm.
really love. If they were showing up similarly to you, what kind of advice would you give them? What would it be
Hmm.
that you would tell them? And within that, can you see yourself? And this, to me, it comes back to this place of what I call polarity. It's the things that we don't want to see in ourselves, but we see in others. And this is
Hmm.
where, for myself, I call it a measuring stick. So the things that we feel that we are either trigger us about other people, or that we don't like about other people, or that we don't like about the world, anything, it's usually something that we don't like within ourselves. So when we can bring that back to ourselves, the world becomes our measuring stick. It becomes a place in where we can continually do something, which is what you talked about in the beginning, is pause. Take a moment to look inside and see how you show up in similar ways, even if it's indirect. And when you can see that, you start to take more responsibility for yourself. You start to have more of an empathetic and compassionate stand, and you begin to give yourself grace instead of having regret. You give yourself grace and you become more curious instead of judgmental. So, in those places, you allow people to feel heard and seen, but ultimately, you're setting boundaries for yourself. So, you become the example of change, and people can follow your lead through the way that you lead yourself, not by telling people what to do, but by doing it yourself.
Very correct. People, they create the boundaries, and that is the only reason perhaps it's impossible to change them. And perhaps someone has said that it's better to leave them because you can't change everyone who do not want to change. Well,
Mm.
with that, I remember one more question, and that is, Joseph, what reveals more about a person? What reveals more about a person? The way they talk to themselves or the way they care for their space? What is the reality? What do you say?
It's the way they talk to themselves, because their
Hmm.
inner mind, their inner world, it's
Hmm.
what's reflecting on the outside. And
Hmm.
because of that, they don't realize it, that they're even talking to themselves like this. And I'm the perfect example. I never realized I did it until one
Hmm.
day I was doing this meditation, and I woke up the next morning feeling a lot of anxiety and overwhelm. And I took a moment to pause and just feel the emotions. And
Ooh.
when I did that, all of a sudden I started hearing these words. I started hearing the way that I was talking to myself. You're not enough. You're stupid. You're unlovable. You're never going to change your life. All these things started coming up, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What am I saying to myself? I never realized I was saying those things to myself. So what I started to do was be more kind with myself. I started talking to myself like as I would talk to myself if I was a child, and to give myself more kindness, more love, more acceptance, more safety, all the things that I would have given to myself as a child, I started to do instead.
Wow. And from your reply, one question came to my mind is, what would be your advice to the person who do not love themselves, agreed, but they always think of committing suicide? So what do you say? Because I have seen, especially the young generation, many of them, they have this idea only: I couldn't do this, let me take this step. So what would be your advice to them?
I wouldn't. I don't. I'm not a big fan of giving advice, because the problem with
Mhm.
advice is it's what I would
Okay.
do. It's my perspective of things. What I would do is ask questions, and when I
Mhm.
what I learned within my own journey of coaching is that when people are really in their stuff, the only thing we can do is meet them where they're at, because most people aren't used to being heard and seen. They're used to
Ooh.
being talked over, and to be able to meet people from their needs
Mhm.
instead of us telling them what they should do. Because for me to tell somebody what to do or give them advice, it's a great idea, but it's my idea. But when I can ask
Right.
somebody a question and they come to their own truth, they can't take that back because it comes from them. It comes from their insides, from their heart, from their intuition, from something beyond themselves. And so when it comes from that place, that's something they can't take back. And for them, that's a solid truth.
So the lesson I learned from you is better not to give advice, as you said. Just ask the question. If he can come out from the reply from within, perhaps that is the only way that he will work on it. Am I correct?
Yes, 100%.
Good. So, can you share a powerful moment when you witness someone realize that how they do one thing is how they do everything? Is it possible?
Yes. I was coaching this man one day, and
Hmm.
I teach about the four dimensions. It's the mind, the body, relationship, and environment. And how we do anything is how we do everything. So
Okay.
he was talking about how he basically would always say that he wasn't enough, and he would make himself small. And so what I asked him was, how does that show up? Where else does that show up in your life? And I brought him through a small exercise that I do. And when he came back from it, he was able to see that in his
Oh.
job, he didn't talk up. He didn't speak up. He made himself small, and he didn't think that his word was worthy. So he never gave any ideas. He never tried to go any further than he did. He just played the mediocre part. When it came to his family, he
Hmm.
never really knew even to what he would want to eat. If it would came down to like somebody, his wife asking him, "What do you want to eat?" He'd say to her, "Well, what do you want to eat?" He realized that he was belittling himself everywhere. And when it came to his kids, he belittled himself there as well. Because when they wanted to do things, he would always go to the point of pleasing them instead of being able to lead them and to show them
Hmm.
how to be leaders. And that came back out into the world as well, because what he would do is he didn't have a circle of friends. What he did was he thought he had to do everything on his own. He thought if he couldn't do it on his own, then he wouldn't be worthy. So he literally had no friends. But through working with him, he started
Hmm.
to create healthy relationships, people who gave him support, challenge, and accountability, held him to what it is that he said he wanted to do. He began to show up differently for his children and his wife at his job, and he started to become a leader instead of a
Hmm.
follower, which ultimately allowed him to feel much better about himself. And at the end of the day, he was walking around with a smile, and he honored himself constantly, even celebrating himself after small wins.
Great. Great. What a shift you could bring in him. Lovely.
Yeah.
Wow. So, with that, there is one more related question, and it goes like this. Across the mind body relationship and environment, across the mind body relationship and environment, what's the most hidden pattern of the self abandonment you help people to uncover? What is that?
I help them to uncover their game, and this
Hmm.
comes from, yep, this comes from the inner self. So I help them to see what their game is, and this is something that most people don't realize they're doing it. When we were children, we at one moment looked like perfect to our parents. They took care
Hmm.
of us. They changed our diapers. They fed us. They did all the things. Everybody was oohing on over us. They were giving us kisses. But then there came this point where we did something that made our parents yell at us or scold us, and that usually has to do between the ages of 5 and 8. And what happens in those moments is that we start to contort ourselves. We start
Oh,
to look for what it is that we need to do to get their love back.
oh,
And so whatever it is that we do, whether it's being the pleaser, whether it's being the yes person, whether it's being the jester, or whether it's being the person who brings peace, the peacemaker, whatever that game is that we learn how to play and we think that it gets their love back, we wind up bringing that into every relationship that we ever have. Work, family, intimate, friends, every relationship that we have. And the problem with that is it's a very unhealthy game, because that is not the way we get love. The thing is, love is already inside of us, and abundance is our birthright. These aren't things that we have to work for. We don't have to work to be worthy or lovable. We already are. And until we begin to own ourselves for who we are in this very moment, we'll constantly be looking for that next thing to try to find how we can become worthy or lovable. And so I help people figure out the game that they're playing so they can have awareness of it and begin to play that game differently.
very correct, very correct. Yes, because always people think that they should present themselves in a such a way that they will get love from the outside. But as you said that it is not always possible. One has to love himself first, then only it will come, isn't it? Well,
100%.
my God, the all the questions that I have are so worthy, so important. There are so many questions I have there to ask you. Few of the questions I have got from my listeners, but somehow time do not permit me. Let me shift myself to the next section, that is the rapid fire question section. And there I will request you to reply in as short as possible so that we can cover more number of questions. And one of the most important question under the rapid fire session is, please tell me, Joseph, that what's the one question that you ask every client that always open them up? How can you get the client open?
Yeah, the first question I love to ask clients, which opens them up, is what's their biggest challenge in their life at this time? What is it that
Lovely.
why are they,
Will you
what,
please repeat it? Please repeat it and please elaborate it a little bit.
yes. So the first question that I ask every client is what is their biggest challenge in their
Wow.
life moment?
Mhm.
And that can vary, it could be the relationship that they have with their wife. It could be not having a relationship at all. It could be struggling with suicidal thoughts. There's so many different varies of men and women that I have coached over the years. Uh, but when I ask them, being able to ask them what is the biggest struggle, it's coming back to them. So when they can tell me what that struggle is, then I can get in deeper and begin to ask them more questions. But I first need to know what their biggest struggle is first.
Right, very right. Yes. Perhaps everyone should ask this question to themselves first. What is the
Mm.
biggest challenge? Right. Well, Joseph, you are a life coach, and according to you, can you please describe your coaching in one word, what it would be?
Self-love.
Uh-huh. Great, great, great. Yes, I fully agree with you. Beautiful reply. Self-love. Wow. My next question is, what most powerful transformation you have ever witnessed in a session? What is that?
The most powerful transformation I ever witnessed was I was coaching one man one night. He called me late, and the
Hmm.
call is what we consider a 911. In that moment, in that he called me, he was contemplating suicide, and he needed my help. In those
Then,
moments, it's very different from any other call because you have to be very careful of every word you say. And the thing is that you really want to say very little. Most, it's always asking questions first of all, but it's and those moments, meeting them where they're at and listening, really listening, just letting them talk, reflecting back to them, acknowledging them. And in those moments, for the first time, they feel heard and seen. And I remembered him
Great.
telling me after in the call, he told me,
Hmm,
he goes, my whole
hmm.
life, I've never felt loved. And for the first time in my life, I feel love. And it brought me to tears.
Wow, what a magic you could inculcate in him, at least from a death to life. You brought the shift. Great.
Yes.
Oh, I am just visualizing that scene. Lovely. Well, here is my next question. That your go-to mantra before stepping into a workshop or a coaching call, what is that? So that one can apply it.
Yes. So I use mantras, but in what I do before I go into my coaching is something that I call consciousness breathing. And so
Oh,
I have 12 stages of it. And when I do that, I do what we call a
mhm,
stage 11, which is giving and
mhm.
receiving of gifts. And I do a stage 6, which is readiness. So I get myself ready uh, through the energetic work. And then I get myself ready to give and receive my gifts. Because in there, when we're giving and receiving, we're truly stepping into growth and contribution 100%. So those are things that I teach within my within my coaching. Is I teach the 12 stages of conscious breathing, and with
Oh,
that, I help people to release certain bound energies within them, so that they can begin to live life differently.
oh, yes. People do not realize that conscious breathing is how important it is. Yes. Well, what's your most important for you? Listening or guiding?
What was it? Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What is most important for you if given a choice, whether it is listening or it is guiding?
Listening.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Great,
listening is
great.
always the first thing. It's most important.
Mhm.
If not everybody is going to be guided right off the bat, but if I'm not listening, how am I going to know where they're even at? Listening
Mm,
is the most important thing. People are not used to be listening to. People don't
right.
feel heard. They don't feel seen. They feel stepped over all the time, and so it's so important to take time to pause and listen to what people are really saying. And for my coaching, it's really important because I'm listening for certain words that the clients are using, because in those words that they use, they don't even realize they're using certain words, and
Oh,
they can use words like heavy. And for myself, I'd be like, hey, what's heavy mean to you? And they can think, oh, well, I mean, if it's how I feel heavy, but they can feel heavy in their head. They can feel heavy in their stomach. They can feel heavy in their life. And they don't realize that that heaviness comes back to an emotion that they don't want to face and feel. And when I can get them to that point of facing and feeling it, all of a sudden it feels like it's dissipating and they begin to live life differently.
oh, yes. So the listening is more important. Perhaps that is why God has given two ears and one mouth. Listening, listening, listening. Yes. Joseph, what is the most common mask that people wear that you help them remove? What is that?
The most common mask that I help them remove, that one is the one when that they don't even realize they're wearing. Uh,
Oh,
because most people have conditioned themselves to be acceptable for the world. And so when I can help them to take that mask off and realize that it's okay to be authentic, it, it's hard for them in the beginning, because the thing is that most people are afraid of not being worthy and not being lovable. And so they're afraid that if I take off this mask and I get judged from a place of authenticity, then I might as well not be in this world anymore. But
Hmm.
what they don't understand is when we begin to take those masks off and step into those places of authenticity, we're growing, and we understand that there's no such thing as failure, that everything
Oh,
is a process, and that it's about trial and error, what works and what doesn't. And so we start to gain momentum in the idea of having empathy and compassion and grace and ultimately love for ourselves. It's about the remembrance of somebody. It's about the remembrance of who we really are, and not those things that we've conditioned ourselves into being or thinking that we need to be, but remembering who we really are.
oh, great. Well, Joseph, I have so many questions to be asked, but the time do not permit me. But I'm so proud of you and so thankful to you that slowly and steadily the way you have replied each questions have really touched my heart, and they have made a big impact in myself, because many a times perhaps there must be all the listener, they must be like me only. They always think that no, this is the way, but actually when they realize that there is a different way, especially what you said is better you try to be a better listener than advisor. Wow. So one of the best golden advice that I think that I have received from you. Lovely. Well, on behalf of this platform, I pray Almighty to give you all the strength, wisdom, power, time, money, facility, and everything, so that you keep on doing the work that you are doing for the society. Because I'm sure even this half an hour session, the people who will be listening to this will make a great impact in their life. And the way you have spoken from the bottom of your heart was really amazing, amazing. Lovely. So nice of you. I thank you so much for being with us. And we say namaste to you. Please be at our platform once again, as and when time permit. So nice of you, Joseph. May God bless you. Thank you so much.
God bless
Thank
you
you.